What up? I'm just gonna make a quick video about how to create a send channel. Send channels are used for doing stuff like parallel, FX. Super easy to set up on FL. So just have a blank mixer here. You can just put the sample on any channel. This is just like a dry rock drum kind of loop. But you can do this to anything you want, and I'll tell you why it's useful in a second. I'm just going to link it to 3, a blank channel. Currently, channel 3 is routed straight to the master. That's where I'm going to leave it. I'm also going to route it at full gain to insert 4. So now it's going to be sending a dry signal to the master, and it's also going to be sending a dry signal over to channel 4. On channel 4 is where the processing is going to happen. For this example, I'm going to put a reverb, but you could do it with compression, EQ, any effect you have, really. You can do parallel processing with that, and so let's just put on channel 4 a pretty tight reverb, super wet. I'm gonna actually take all the dry there, and it's gonna be a really short decay. Cut some lows. That should be good. Let's hear that. So what's happening now is that this slider right here kind of becomes your gain knob for the amount of reverb coming in. Let's make this a little bit more decay just so that it's prominent. Let's hear it as I turn this up. So as I turn that up, we get more reverb. We're kind of balancing the signal in that way. I will say that if we were to just not route this at all to channel 4 and put the reverb directly on the channel, you can kind of get the same effect by just messing with the dry wet knob. Like right now, the knobs that we'll put it at 20%. And so that means it's a 20% wet signal and an 80% dry signal. But the problem is you can only use that reverb on that specific channel. Whereas if you use a send channel, like I'll route it to 4 again. Now, if I was to bring in other samples or sounds or whatever, I could route them all to that reverb so that we're just using one reverb effect for a bunch of different sounds. That's going to create a lot cleaner overall sound in the end, just because if you put on 5 different reverb plugins and they're all set to slightly different settings, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that's where you'll get a muddy effect where it's a little bit confusing to listen to. I don't have to say much more about that. The other thing is like I said, you can use a bunch of different effects. So like, let's do a extreme compression with just a wave shaper on this channel. And as I turn it up, you'll start to hear it. Actually, let's go a little bit more extreme and just do something like that just to really hear the effect. So listen as I turn this up now. It's a pretty cool effect because we're getting that blown out layer of the drums, and then we have the completely dry one, and we just use this slider to kind of balance in how much there is. And also you can use this to balance it in if you start running a bunch of different channels to that send channel. You can get creative with how you use that in different ways. You know, you could run a whole chain of effects and have that be the send channel. It's pretty easy to tweak as you go through your mixing process. I think that's really it for this one. Have fun with that, experiment with it, and see what you can come up with, because it's a really good way to kind of help develop more of a signature sound. You can do some really unique stuff in here that nobody else would choose to do. That's usually the way to get a signature sound, something that's recognizable, especially if it's something that you recreate each time you go to make a track. You route similar send channels, you'll start to have a more defined sound. I'm gonna stop talking. Like and subscribe. Appreciate everybody who's been watching. I'm just gonna keep making videos until we got a whole collection of stuff that could just get someone started on FL. So check out my other vids. I'll see you soon.